And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge, back once again with another YouTube installment of my series Valiant till the last. Right, this is the fourth time I'm filming this due to a variety of problems every other time I filmed it, from fire alarms to... I don't want to get into it. Right, so this time around we are looking at Quantum and Woody Deluxe Edition 2. This is the sequel to the one that we looked at last week. This is out of print and has never been reprinted. So what we're looking at here is a cover. This is from the Delinquents issue 2. The Delinquents is one of the issues in this, and we'll talk about that in a second. Usual picture, banner, side. Notice that this is not a sticker. This is actually printed on here. It says Delinquents board game. We'll talk about that a couple of times later on in the video. Spine, standard spine of this era, all good. And the back, standard back of this era. In terms of the inside French flap, standard blurb there, kind of a weird brown burgundy. And standard there, same writer, James Asmus, and a weird brown burgundy. Now, this bit is quite exciting. Brace yourselves. What's going on here? There's something inside the dust jacket. Now, I'm not going to dwell on this too much right now, but this is a board game. The same board game that was teased on the front. So this is the Delinquents board game. And there we are, and it's on the inside of the dust jacket. I've never seen that before, actually, either on a Valiant hardcover or in fact on any other hardcover. I've never seen a double-sided dust jacket, so that's actually kind of cool, and a total surprise that I wasn't aware of. So let's actually, what am I doing? Let's actually dive into the hardcover itself. What we have here is the usual blocking, Quantum and Woody. This isn't coloured, this isn't light blue like the last one was. This is just solid silver. Then we've got the spine, as per Valiant Edition 2, and a clean back. Diving into it, it's got the usual formatting to start with, book 2. However, none of the issues in this are Quantum and Woody issues. So as well as saying book 2 there, when you go into it, it's got the content, and this is where we can see what's in here. So to start with, Delinquents. So this isn't called Quantum and Woody, it's a 4-issue miniseries called The Delinquents. That's the first collection, also available as a trade paperback. And the next part of it is this one-shot, Valiant Size Quantum and Woody #1, which you need to read here. And then you need to read Quantum and Woody Must Die, numbers 1 till 4. It's a separate miniseries. Both of these are collected as trade paperbacks, and like I say, that Valiant-sized issue needs to go before reading Quantum and Woody Must Die, trust me. Otherwise, we've got some other stuff in the back, including Unity 25, as we've seen in a few other videos. That's collected in quite a lot of these deluxe editions, and it's got just that random one-shot, non-sequitur sort of webcomic-y things. And then it's got actual Quantum and Woody webcomics as well. And then it's got stuff about the Delinquents board game yet again. Alright, okay. Here we have The Delinquents. It's actually called The Delinquents, again, like I say, and this is, unsurprisingly, a crossover between Quantum and Woody and Archer and Armstrong. Now, this is a self-contained 4-issue series. It could have been collected in Archer and Armstrong Deluxe Edition, but it wasn't. It could have been collected here, and it was. So that's completely fine. It's self-contained. It doesn't have anything that you have to read. Having said that, it's a good read. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. It's got a very stupid premise, but what I did like about it is that you kind of expect the 4 characters to partner off in the kind of way you'd expect. So Woody and Archer are the 2 people who kind of drunk, irresponsible buffoons in that sense, and then the 2 responsible kind of straight wood characters, which is Quantum and Archer. That's not what happened. And the genius of this, and the genius of the dynamic that they've written, is that actually it ends up being a case that Armstrong gets on really well with Quantum. So Armstrong gets on with a more responsible partner. And Woody, who's really irresponsible and into hedonism and drinking, gets on with the puritanical Archer much, much better. Which is hilarious and a really interesting kind of... Not only is it an interesting dynamic, it's an interesting and very plausible way the characters are written. It kind of highlights how well fleshed out they are. So I really enjoyed that. The story itself, The Delinquents, is decent. It's not brilliant, but it's pretty good. It felt vaguely familiar to me, although I don't know why. I guess it just wasn't like... It's not that it wasn't massively original, it's just that it wasn't sort of massively special and kind of forgettable. So this is the story, this is the artwork, and this takes us to Quantum and Woody Must Die. Now it starts off with a one-shot that in and of itself seems like it can just be read like totally by itself as a standalone, and that's this here. This is kind of a pretty wild science fiction story of Quantum and Woody, rather Woody, saving the world. So that's that. And that takes us to this. And then we have Quantum and Woody Must Die! !! issue 1. This can be read straight after the first deluxe edition. Like I say, the Delinquents is kind of like a segue, kind of like a random self-contained thing, whereas this is a more straightforward continuation of the 2013-2014 series we looked at last week. It's good. It's funny. It's solid. It's quirky. I liked it. I'll be honest, I didn't like it quite as much as I liked the last hardcover. I did like it a lot, and I'm glad I got it. But at the same time, it felt like... What's the best way to put this? It felt like it was kind of searching for a story in some sense. There wasn't as much sort of drive and focus and forward momentum to the story, at least in my reading of it. That said, it was fun. It had lots of funny bits. It had good action. It had good dialogue. It was well written. It was funny. You could see it was by the same writer. The pacing and the beats and the way it was done, all great. And I enjoyed it. And so that takes us to the ending of that, which basically then says, it's going to return next time. Quantum and Woody will return, and we'll talk about that next week. And then we've got other appearances. So this is really straightforward. Unity issue 25. We've seen this like at least half a dozen times by now. Usual kind of Unity 25 special features, he says. Yeah, so stuff like this that we've seen in the Unity issue 25. Yeah. At one point, I will show off my Unity Volume 2 custom bind, but today's not the day. Anyway, so yeah, this just kind of carries on, and again, some of you will be familiar from seeing this in previous deluxe editions. This exact same issue is collected in a couple of other deluxe editions, and then you got a couple of random webcomics, which were funny and decent. Yeah. So before we dive into this, overall, this was a good deluxe edition. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's a good sequel to the first one. Glad I've got it in my collection. And again, a present supplied with consistent, funny writing. What we then have at the end is a Delinquents board game. Now, from what I gather, when this was published as single issues, the Quantum Woody Must Die... the Delinquents were published with alternate covers. And if you got all four of these alternate covers together, you basically recreated this board. From what I can tell. So, if you've done that, or if you have this dust jacket, then what you would do is you'd be able to play the board game. Now, to do that, you need to cut out these various bits and pieces, and then these are the various rules. I haven't looked at this at all, because I don't play board games. I play video games. I'm not a board game person. But if you are a board game person, this is it. Awesome. I'm sure you'll love it. Apparently, this is all available online. If you don't want to cut up your actual deluxe hardcover, then this is available on the Valiant website. I looked for it, I couldn't find it, so I'm not entirely sure how true that is anymore. Valiant obviously is going through something of a downward turn right now, but I guess you could photocopy it or do whatever, or even cut it out of a deluxe edition if you fancy doing that. I don't fancy doing that, even though I'm not a fan of board games. But yeah, if you're interested, there we have it. It's in here. All right, let's look at the gallery. Standard gallery kind of pictures. All pretty decent. The scene with the panda is as weird as it sounds. All pretty decent. Yeah, usual gallery stuff. And that takes us to the end. And there we have it, keeping this one relatively short and sweet. Not much to say about it other than that it was fun. It's still, I guess, part of the Valiant universe, although it doesn't really mention like Exo-Manowar or anything else in this at all. But Quantum and Woody are like a fun little side note. To the Valiant universe. Some people ask me like, what kind of humor is it? Like, it's kind of hard to define in a lot of ways, and kind of hard to know what to expect. Think about it as more like Marvel's Next Wave, if you're familiar with that, than anything else. Not quite as goofy as that, but it's in that vein in the sense that Next Wave made me laugh, and this made me laugh. So there we have it, Quantum and Woody Deluxe Edition Volume 2. Our homework for next week is continuing Quantum and Woody, but actually going into their 2017 series, which unfortunately isn't collected as a deluxe edition. So it's 12 single issues, split into 2 trade paperbacks. The first trade paperback is 5 issues, and the next trade paperback is 7 issues. So I'm going to read both of those, and we'll be discussing those next time. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at @IamThomasJudge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.